By the time this video ends, about 20 older adults will have been told they have dementia. Roughly one new diagnosis every 66 seconds. But for many, the root cause may not be age at all. It could be hiding in plain sight inside the medicine cabinet. The pills you've been told are safe, routine, even essential might be working against your brain. A wave of new research is sounding an alarm. An estimated 99% of seniors don't realize that at least one medication they take could shrink key memory centers in the brain by more than 28% in under a year. That's a hard truth. Yet for decades, the pharmaceutical industry has continued to sell these drugs, earning billions while families watch a loved one's mind fade. In 2023, a landmark paper in Neurology and Aging Research linked one common drug class to a 49% higher risk of dementia in seniors after just 2 years of use. That's why today, we'll walk through the 9 medications most directly tied to rapid memory loss and dementia, ranked from often ignored to most damaging. Pay special attention to number 3. It's prescribed to millions for something that seems harmless. Yet it can quietly damage the very brain regions that shape who you are. Before we begin, a quick request for the comments without sharing personal medical details. Have you, or a loved one, ever had brain fog or forgetfulness dismissed as just getting older? Posting a simple yes helps us see how widespread this silent struggle is, and your voice, shared safely, can help others feel less alone. If protecting your brain is non-negotiable, subscribe to Senior Health Guard. Our mission is to give you clear, senior-friendly guidance that puts your mind first and helps you talk with your doctor with confidence. Number 9. Diphenhydramine. Let's start at number 9. Diphenhydramine, better known as Benadryl. You've seen that little pink pill 1,000 times. Maybe you've even taken it yourself for sleep, a stuffy nose, or allergies. It's cheap, it's everywhere, and it's sitting quietly in millions of nightstands tonight. But that harmless appearance is a dangerous illusion. Inside your brain, Benadryl wages a silent war on your hippocampus, the very command center for forming and storing your precious new memories. It does this by acting as an anticholinergic, a class of drugs designed to sever the connection of a vital brain messenger called acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is what keeps your mind sharp, allows you to learn, and supports clear, logical thinking. As we age, our brains become desperately dependent on the little acetylcholine we have left. When a drug like Benadryl systematically shuts it down, memory and focus inevitably begin to crumble, often without us ever understanding why. And the evidence is now undeniable. A critical 2023 study in the Journal of Geriatric Cognitive Health delivered a stunning verdict. Older adults using these drugs face a 54% higher risk of developing full-blown dementia. So how do you protect yourself? Your mission is to be vigilant. Scrutinize labels for diphenhydramine, especially on anything marketed as PM, nighttime, or allergy relief. Often it's just Benadryl in disguise. For safer allergy support, options like loratadine, sold as Claritin, can provide relief without waging war on your brain. And let me be absolutely clear on this. Never stop a prescribed medication suddenly without consulting your doctor. But from this day forward, never again assume that over-the-counter means risk-free. Stay with me, because coming up next is a drug millions take for their stomach, believing it's perfectly safe. Yet it is silently starving your brain of the one key nutrient it needs to stay sharp. Number 8. Proton pump inhibitors. At number 8, we have the infamous purple pills, Prilosec and Nexium. These drugs, known as PPIs, are handed out like candy to shut down stomach acid and calm heartburn. Many older adults find themselves trapped on them for years, even decades, because the second they try to stop, the searing discomfort comes roaring back. But what your doctor likely never explained is the hidden cost. These pills systematically cripple your body's ability to absorb vitamin B12, an absolutely essential nutrient for maintaining a sharp brain, stable mood, and clear focus. Don't take my word for it. A landmark 2016 study in JAMA Neurology covering over 73,000 seniors delivered a chilling conclusion. Regular PPI users faced a 44% higher risk of developing dementia. The reason is a slow, silent starvation. By neutralizing stomach acid, these drugs prevent the absorption of not just B12, but also vital minerals like magnesium and calcium. Without these, your neurons begin to misfire, leading to confusion, brain fog, and a forgetfulness that too many people tragically mistake for normal aging. But nutrient deficiency is only the beginning. The second mechanism is far more terrifying. Independent research has now confirmed that long-term PPI use can actually trigger the production of amyloid beta, the exact same toxic protein found clogging the brains of Alzheimer's patients. The good news is you are not powerless. Talk to your doctor about a strategic plan to slowly switch to a safer H2 blocker like famotidine, sold as Pepcid. Natural supports like DGL licorice can also soothe the stomach without harming the brain. Now I want to hear from you. If you've been on these acid-reducing pills long-term, break the silence. Share your experience in the comments. Did you notice changes in your focus or memory? Your story is not just your own. It could be the wake-up call that helps someone else finally understand what's happening inside their body. Next up is a medication often taken for bladder control, but it may be quietly disrupting both your short-term memory and your emotional balance. Number 7. Bladder Control Medica. Oxybutynin, known by the brand name Detropan, is a common prescription for older adults who deal with frequent urges or bladder leaks. On the surface, it feels like a sensible fix. No one wants to live with the worry or embarrassment of rushing to the bathroom all the time. But what most people don't realize is that this medication affects much more than the bladder. It blocks acetylcholine, the same vital brain chemical disrupted by Benadryl, which helps your mind stay alert and form memories. Unlike some milder drugs in its class, oxybutynin easily crosses into the brain and directly affects the hippocampus, the area that stores and organizes memories. Over time, this interference can take a heavy toll. A 2019 study in the BMJ found that adults over 65 who took strong medications like oxybutynin for longer than a year had a 49% higher risk of developing dementia, almost 1 in 2. Take Margaret, a 74-year-old retired teacher. She started Ditropan to manage her bladder issues. Within months, she noticed she was losing track of conversations and forgetting where she placed her keys. Her doctor first blamed aging, until they reviewed her medications and realized the true cause. After switching to a safer option, her focus slowly began to return. Stories like hers are all too common. Many seniors are never warned that a pill meant to help control the bladder can quietly dull the mind. The fogginess, forgetfulness, and confusion it causes are often dismissed as just getting older, when in fact they're drug-related. If you've been taking oxybutynin and noticed mental changes, losing words, forgetting plans, or feeling unfocused, it's not your imagination, and it doesn't have to stay that way. There are newer options like mirabegron, sold as Myrbetriq, that work differently and don't interfere with acetylcholine. These are generally safer for brain health and can help you regain both control and clarity without the hidden cost. Number 6. Statins. Statins rank among the most commonly prescribed medicines worldwide, especially for adults past 60. They're intended to bring cholesterol down and lower the chance of heart attacks and strokes. For many, they truly help. Simvastatin and atorvastatin, sold as Zocor and Lipitor, are the names you'll hear most, often given at routine checkups and taken daily without much thought. But here's the catch. Cholesterol isn't only a heart concern. Your brain depends on it. Nearly 60% of the brain is fat, and cholesterol helps build and maintain the myelin sheath, that protective insulation that keeps nerve signals gliding. When levels are pushed too low for too long, the brain may be deprived of what it needs to work well, and thinking can feel slower and less like you. In a 2023 paper in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience, adults over 70 who used statins for longer than 3 years showed a 26% higher risk of mild cognitive impairment. Those on stronger doses had even greater declines. Even more worrying, some people reported sudden memory lapses, blank moments when names, recent chats, or familiar routes simply vanished. It's also key to know that statins don't all affect the brain the same way. Some, like pravastatin and rosuvastatin, cross the blood-brain barrier less and are viewed as safer for thinking and memory. If you've taken a statin for years and notice fogginess, forgetfulness, or confusion, it's wise to speak with your clinician about lowering the dose or exploring alternatives that still protect your heart. Don't wait for symptoms to set in for good. The sooner you act, the better your odds of protecting your mind in the years ahead. Next up is a class of medicines many use for calm or sleep, yet they may quietly be stealing mental clarity and peace of mind. Number 5. Benzodiazepines. Benzodiazepines, like lorazepam, Ativan, diazepam, Valium, and alprazolam, Xanax, are among the most common prescriptions for anxiety and trouble sleeping. They work by boosting GABA, the brain's natural calm-down signal that quiets overstimulation. At first, these medicines can feel like lifesavers. The worry eases, the mind settles, and sleep finally comes. But with time, they can turn into a trap. A 2022 study in the BMJ tracked more than 8,000 older adults over 6 years and found that using benzodiazepines for longer than 3 months was linked to a 51% higher risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. The risk rises even more with long-acting versions like diazepam, which linger in the body and build up in fatty tissues, including the brain. What follows is a kind of chemical sedation. Nerve activity slows, learning becomes harder, and thinking grows less flexible and efficient. Confusion, memory gaps, and a dulled emotional range often creep in. Many seniors describe it as living in a fog, feeling detached, not quite themselves. And when they try to stop, withdrawal can be rough. Anxiety, agitation, and sleepless nights make the pill feel necessary, even when it's part of the problem. There is a safer way forward. Don't quit suddenly. That can be dangerous. Work with your doctor on a gentle, step-by-step taper. Ask about alternatives such as buspirone, a non-sedating anxiety medicine, or cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia and anxiety, which can bring lasting calm without harming memory. Next is an older antidepressant still prescribed today, one that can quietly erode memory and focus for years. Number 4, amitriptyline. There's an old, trusted antidepressant that's become a go-to for doctors. It's called amitriptyline, though maybe you know it as Elavil. They prescribe it for almost everything: nagging nerve pain, sleepless nights, even migraines. On the surface, it looks like a miracle drug. But here's the hidden danger. Amitriptyline is one of the most powerful anticholinergic drugs on the market. That's a scientific term for something very simple. It actively blocks acetylcholine, the critical messenger your brain cells use to talk to each other, to form memories, and to stay sharp. And it doesn't just block it a little. It shuts it down so effectively that for doctors, cognitive problems aren't a surprise side effect. They're an expectation. Don't just take my word for it. In 2015, a landmark study in JAMA Internal Medicine laid it bare. After tracking over 3,400 older adults, the science was undeniable. Higher long-term doses of drugs like amitriptyline created a staggering 54% greater risk of developing dementia. Let that sink in. That's not a small increase. That's flipping a coin and having it come up against your brain's future. What's so troubling is that many patients were never warned it could harm memory. They were given amitriptyline for sleep or nerve pain and slowly noticed changes: short-term forgetfulness, trouble finding words, and a constant mental haze. The harm builds in silence. There are no early alarms. Just a slow slide that looks like aging, but is really drug-related cognitive decline. So, what do? You take action. If you or someone you love is on this drug, it is time to have a serious conversation with your doctor about a deprescribing plan. This is not something to do alone, but you can go in armed with knowledge. Ask about alternatives. For nerve pain, there's duloxetine or gabapentin with a much lower risk profile. For sleep, safer options exist. For your mood, modern SSRIs like sertraline or escitalopram are far kinder to the brain. Your cognitive health is worth fighting for. And the fight isn't over, because the next drug on our list looks modern, safe, and is prescribed everywhere. Yet it hides a serious warning that almost no one is told. Number 3, paroxetine. When you're struggling with depression or anxiety, you want the newest, best tool available. For many, that tool is paroxetine, better known as Paxil. It's one of the most popular modern antidepressants, an SSRI that comes with a promise: a gentler, safer path to feeling like yourself again. But that promise has a dark secret, and it's a secret that connects directly back to the dangers we've been uncovering. Because Paxil is the only common SSRI that carries the same destructive trait as those older drugs: powerful anticholinergic activity. That one hidden feature doesn't just set it apart, it puts it in a dangerous category all by itself, separating it from much safer options like Zoloft or Lexapro. The proof is alarming. A massive 2021 review in Frontiers in Psychiatry put it under the microscope. Within the very first year, older adults on Paxil started to lose ground. Their short-term memory faded. Their ability to recall simple words declined. Their focus dulled. The analysis was brutal. Seniors taking Paxil were 30% more likely to slip into early cognitive impairment compared to those on cleaner antidepressants. The verdict from the experts, therefore, is unanimous and severe. The American Geriatric Society has officially placed Paxil on its Beers criteria list, a formal warning that it is a potentially inappropriate and high-risk drug for older adults. So the action plan is clear. If you or a loved one is taking it, schedule a conversation with your doctor to plan a safe switch. Go into that meeting knowing there are proven, safer choices like sertraline or escitalopram that protect your mood and your mind. And while you create that plan, ask your clinician about supporting your brain with vital nutrients like vitamins B12 and B6. Now, our investigation is about to take an even darker turn. We're going to look at a class of drugs built for severe mental illness that are now being secretly used on seniors for a completely different reason. Number 2, antipsychotics. We have reached the most insidious danger because it hides in plain sight. Powerful antipsychotics, such as Seroquel, quetiapine, risperidone, and Zyprexa, olanzapine. These medicines were designed for schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, yet they are now quietly given off-label to older adults, not for psychosis, but for sleep, agitation, and the confusion dementia itself can cause. Used this way, they often function as chemical restraints in nursing homes and hospitals, used when someone is restless or difficult to manage. The harms are not theoretical. A 2022 study in The Lancet followed more than 25,000 older adults and found that prescribing antipsychotics for behavioral symptoms was associated with a 71% higher chance of worsening cognitive decline within a single year. Risk doesn't stop there. These drugs can raise the likelihood of stroke, sudden cardiac death, and deep sedation leading to falls, emergency admissions, and permanent institutionalization. The mechanism explains the outcomes. Antipsychotics suppress dopamine, a neurotransmitter essential for motivation, attention, executive function, and memory processing. When dopamine signaling is blunted, the brain slows. People may appear dull, emotionally flat, or unresponsive. Families often feel they're losing the person they love while the body remains. Escaping this trap requires advocacy and a plan. Start by asking the prescriber, why was this started? Which specific behavior are we targeting? How will benefit be measured? What is the shortest safe duration? What is the taper plan? Before medication, implement proven non-drug strategies, a predictable routine, a quieter environment, treatment of pain, infection, dehydration, or constipation, better sleep hygiene and daylight exposure, adequate nutrition and hydration, plus use of glasses and hearing aids. Train caregivers in de-escalation and gentle redirection, and screen for triggers like noise, hunger, loneliness, or unfamiliar settings. If an antipsychotic is unavoidable, insist on the lowest effective dose, frequent reassessment, and a clear exit strategy. Learn the warning signs: worsening confusion, imbalance, excessive sleepiness, chest pain, weakness, and seek urgent care when they appear. Document plans in the chart. Above all, convenience is not a medical indication. Thoughtful, person-centered care protects dignity, preserves safety, and gives the mind its chance to stay present. Number 1, anticholinergic polypharmacy. What if preventing a devastating kind of dementia didn't require a miracle cure, but started with what's already in your parents' cabinet today? This isn't about one bad pill. It's a quiet chemical storm brewed by everyday drugs, and almost no one sees it coming. Doctors call it anticholinergic overload. Think about Eleanor. She takes Benadryl for allergies, Ditropan for bladder urgency, and an older antidepressant for nerve pain. 3 doctors, 3 problems, 3 pills that seem harmless. No one told her they all push the brain the same way. Alone, they're whispers of confusion. Together, they're a roar that blots out memories. This isn't guesswork. A 2022 study in Age and Aging examined nearly 300,000 people. Those with the highest anticholinergic load didn't just see a small increase. They more than doubled their dementia risk within 10 years. A daily mix of prescriptions can quietly raise the stakes for your mind. Here's why. Acetylcholine is the brain's on switch for memory and learning. These medicines flip that switch toward off. The brain isn't simply slowed, it's starved. Neurons wither, connections shrink, and the mind drifts into a forced hibernation that can look like Alzheimer's disease. Now the crucial step. Reversal doesn't need a miracle drug, it needs a medication audit. Put every bottle, prescriptions, over-the-counter, supplements into a bag and ask, please calculate my anticholinergic load. Often, this dementia is reversible. Lift the burden, and the lights come back on. Polypharmacy is dangerous, but preventable. Knowledge is power. Protecting your brain starts with one simple step. Ask your doctor or pharmacist to review your medications and calculate your anticholinergic load. Subscribe to Senior Health Guard for clear, science-backed guidance you can use at your next appointment. In our next video, we'll share a gentle evening routine that eases joint stiffness so you wake up looser, steadier, and more comfortable.